This lesson is going to be about motivation. And these are the things that I hope to answer for you today during the course of this little lesson that we're going to go over today. What is motivation? And what are the 3 key perspectives that help us understand motivated behaviors? Aron Ralston, having conquered nearly all of Colorado's tallest peaks, he was an experienced climber when he went canyon hiking alone one spring day in 2003. The Saturday morning outing seemed so risk-free that he didn't even bother to tell anyone where he was going. He was in Utah's narrow Blue John Canyon, just about 150 yards above his final drop. He was climbing over an 800-pound rock when the rock shifted and pinned his right wrist and arm. He was stuck. Realizing that no one would be rescuing him, Ralston tried with all of his might to dislodge the rock. Then, with a dull pocket knife, he tried chipping away at the rock. When that failed, he rigged up ropes to lift the rock, but nothing worked. Hour after hour, then cold night after night, he was stuck. By Tuesday, he had run out of food and water. On Wednesday, as thirst and hunger gnawed, he began sipping his own urine. Using his video recorder, he said goodbye to his family and friends for whom he now felt intense love. On Thursday, surprised to find himself still alive, Ralston had a seemingly divine insight into his reproductive future. In his vision, he saw a preschool boy being scooped up by a one-armed man. Inspired by his vision, he summoned his remaining strength and his enormous will to live, and over the next hour he broke his bones and used his dull pocket knife to cut off his arm. Aron Ralston's thirst and hunger, his sense of belonging to others, and his will to live and become a father highlight the force of motivation. So, what is motivation? It's a need or desire that energizes our behavior and directs it towards a goal. This intense love and joy that Aron felt demonstrates the close ties between our emotions and our motivated behaviors. Emotion arises from the interplay between nature, the bodily push, and nurture, the pulls from our personal experiences, our thoughts, and culture. There are 2 basic types of motivation. We have intrinsic motivation, which is the desire to do something well for its own sake. In experiments, rewarding children with toys or candy for reading shortens the time that they spend reading. It's as if they think, if I have to be bribed into doing this, it must not be worth doing for its own sake. We do things because we gain fulfillment in it, or that we enjoy it. That's how we do intrinsic motivation. We're doing it for fulfillment or personal enjoyment. Then we have extrinsic motivation. Okay, so this is what's happening when our children are given something for reading a book. It is behaving certain ways to gain external rewards or to avoid punishment. The motivation is reinforced from outside by the use of gaining praise or rewards or a gain in our status. It's outside of ourselves, things that we get outside of ourselves. So we're going to talk about 3 perspectives that psychologists have used to understand motivated behavior. We have the drive reduction theory, arousal theory, and a hierarchy of needs. First, we'll talk about drive reduction theory. To the drive reduction theory, we make three assumptions. First, we have a physiological need, such as the need for food and water. So if the need is not met, it creates a drive or an arousal, a motivated state such as hunger or thirst. And that drive will push us to reduce the need by let's say, eating or drinking. So this is basically the drive reduction theory, is when individuals experience a need or a drive, and so they're motivated to reduce that drive. We need water, we need food. The drive is the thirst or the hunger. And so the drive-reducing behaviors, the thing that we do to get rid of those drives or to reduce them, is eat, of course, or drink. Now, homeostasis plays a part in this. This is the need to maintain a balance or constant internal state in our body. Our body is constantly regulating our blood sugar and things, and that it actually helps. Our body wants to keep a level homeostasis. So when things are off, it creates drives. because there is a need. So the goal of this three-step process is homeostasis. It's our body's natural tendency to maintain a steady internal state. Actually, homeostasis means stay the same. So the body's heat regulation system works like a room's thermostat, which is an example of homeostasis. Both systems monitor temperature and feed information into control devices. If a room temperature is cold, the control device will switch on the furnace. And likewise, if your body temperature cools, your blood vessels will narrow and constrict to conserve warmth. Okay, so to recap, we have physiological needs. We have a drive reduction arises from homeostasis. It's our body's natural tendency to maintain a steady state. So if we have a physiological need, such as if we need water, we're deprived of water, we're out in the desert, we need water, our drive or thirst will motivate us to drink, which will restore the body to its normal state or homeostasis. Okay, we are also pulled by incentives, which are environmental stimuli that attract or compel us, depending on our individual learning histories. If you're hungry, the aroma of good food will motivate you. Whether that aroma comes from fresh baked bread or toasted ants will depend on your culture and your experience. There is both a need and an incentive. We feel strongly driven by both. So for each motive, we can ask, how are we pushed by our inborn bodily needs or pulled by our incentives in our environment? We are so much more than homeostatic systems. When we are aroused, we're physically energized or tense. Some motivated behaviors actually increase arousal. We hunger for information. When we find that all of our biological needs have been met, we feel bored and we seek stimulation to increase our arousal. But not too much stimulation, for that brings stress and it kind of sends us looking for ways to decrease arousal. That's when we get anxiety a little bit. The arousal theory, it describes the search for the right arousal level, a search that energizes and directs our behavior. So the arousal theory is basically every individual has a unique ideal level of tension or arousal. Some get anxious when they have too much and it causes anxiety. And some need more. Sometimes we have sensation seekers that in order to get the right arousal, they have to do things like jump out of airplanes or climb cliffs. So some needs are more important than others. At this moment, your needs for air and water are satisfied, hopefully. And some of your needs are things like water and air. Other motives are directed by our behavior, but if you are deprived of water, your thirst would take over your thoughts. We cannot live by bread alone. People also had needs for safety, connection, and self-worth. Abraham Maslow, a psychologist, he viewed human motives as a pyramid, a hierarchy of needs of sorts. At the pyramid's base are the physiological needs like food. Maslow proposed that only after those needs are met do we try to meet our needs for safety, then our needs to give and receive love, enjoy self-esteem, and at the peak is self-actualization, or the level in which people need to realize their purpose and their potential and their identity. Okay, so physical needs. These are basic things that keep us alive. Air, food, drink, shelter, warmth, sleep. These are the basic physical needs that we have in order to survive. The next level of the pyramid would be safety needs. These include things like protection from the elements, security, financial security, or just feeling secure in your environment, law, stability, and freedom from fear. Now, some children might not be feeling this sense of safety needs if perhaps their family's going through a traumatic time with a divorce and they don't quite know if they're going to live with mom or dad, and there's a lot of arguing going on. That need for safety might not be there. They might feel insecure about where they stand and what's going to happen to them. Now remember, the lower needs usually need to be met before you can reach up to the higher ones, according to Maslow. So the next one is belongingness and love. This is also called the social. So this is friendship, intimacy, affection, love. This is from work, family, friends. We have romantic relationships, and family is so important that I put it in there twice. We have esteem needs. This is, everyone has to have the ability to feel some sort of feeling of achievement. Mastery, independence, status, dominance, prestige, self-respect, respect from others. For some people it might be, yay, I got a D and I passed calculus. For others, in order to feel that feeling of achievement, they need to get an A. This is different for everyone. And then the last level would be the self-actualization. This is realizing finally your personal potential, self-fulfillment, seeking personal growth and peak experiences. Now, are there any exceptions to Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yes, there certainly are. There are exceptions to Maslow's hierarchy. For example, people have starved themselves to make a political statement. However, there are some needs that are more basic than others. In poorer nations, money and food and shelter that it buys more strongly commands attention and predicts the feelings of well-being. In wealthy nations, where most are able to meet their basic needs, home life satisfaction is a better prediction of well-being.